Hey everyone, this is Jeremy Newman with the Family Freedom Project. I am here at the courthouse in Fort Worth. We just got out of the first full day of the hearing in Evelyn Boatwright's case, where we are fighting to try and restore Evelyn with her parents, Jackie and Juan. And you guys can read the background of that case more on our website. The short version of the story is that back in February, Evelyn was removed from her home after accusations of child abuse by Cook Children's Hospital, where they did their entire investigation and accusations against the parents and kicked them out of the hospital all in the space of just a few hours. And without time to do any of the differential medical analysis they needed to do in order to determine whether or not Evelyn's injuries had alternative causes. So today, the entire day was testimony from two doctors at Cook Children's Hospital. The first one was testimony from the radiologist at Cook Children's, and the second one was testimony from the child abuse pediatrician at Cook Children's. It was really remarkable, the testimony from both of them. So for the radiologist, what was most remarkable was the impossible specificity and the kind of the inability to be wrong that he seemed to exhibit on almost all of his testimony, where essentially his testimony was that once he had made his conclusions on his radiology report, there were no follow-ups from other doctors that would alter that. And that his radiology findings were kind of set in stone, and that nothing else about other medical experts that could have been added would have altered that information. And the crazy thing about that is that when he did his initial review of the MRI, it only took him 2 minutes from that time before he made his initial assumption of child abuse. And from that point, his opinion did not change about whether or not Evelyn's conditions were explainable by child abuse. So in that 2-minute period, he appears to have gained all of the information that he needed to reach the conclusion of child abuse, and no information from follow-up experts was necessary to either confirm or rule out the possibility of child abuse. It was just established by that point. And the family is going to have follow-up experts probably starting tomorrow, certainly Wednesday, to address a lot of the things that were brought up today. But that was kind of the characterization of the testimony from the radiologist today, that he just seemed to view his opinion as absolutely set in stone and immovable by any alternate findings from other experts. And furthermore, that he wasn't even aware of whether other experts or other tests had been done in most situations, and didn't seem to consider them relevant because his findings based on radiology were all that mattered. Now, when the experts get into, from the family tomorrow and the day after, that's when that becomes extremely relevant, because there are alternative explanations that Cooks just didn't seem like to think were important. And for the child abuse pediatrician, in some ways her testimony was a little bit the opposite, where she was just unwilling to be specific about almost anything. And here's the situation that they've kind of left the parents in, is that the accusation against the parents is that the injuries were caused by abusive head trauma, and what that means, nobody seems to be able to say. Both the radiologist and the child abuse pediatrician insist that it's abusive head trauma that was non-accidental, meaning the parents did this on purpose. And the radiologist went so far as to say that he could tell from looking at the picture of a broken vein in the baby's head whether that vein had been broken by a person on purpose or something else by accident. Which just kind of defies belief that somebody would take that type of position, but he did. And the position they put the parents in is, we don't know what type of force would have been required to cause these injuries, but it must have been some type of force that you did on purpose, and because you can't tell us what it was, it means you're guilty. And of course, that's an impossible situation for the parents to be in. And at the hospital, the only options they gave the parents for what could possibly explain these injuries is they asked if Evelyn had been in any type of situation like a car accident or falling off of a 3-story building that could possibly explain these injuries. And of course, she hadn't. And then they now impute the fact that the parents didn't have other explanations of things like car accidents and falling off of buildings as evidence of the fact that the parents must have done this on purpose. So it really just feels inescapable, the conclusion that child abuse was the go-to assumption almost from the beginning, and that there wasn't really anything that could deviate that diagnosis after the fact. Once it was done, it was set in stone. The experts from the family are going to begin testifying probably tomorrow, certainly Wednesday, to explain the voluminous number of things that they should have checked for that they never did. So if you guys are in the area, be sure to stop by tomorrow. The parents will probably testify tomorrow, and CPS will probably testify tomorrow. And then, of course, Wednesday. Tomorrow the hearing starts at 8:30, so we're going to be here all day, and probably all day again Wednesday. And we're going to keep fighting for this family until we get Evelyn home. Thanks, guys.